So today we'll dive back into the world of the wild Wait, an eagle is riding a monitor lizard? Look at that. Goats grazing in a tree? Monkeys hunting their own kind? Monitor lizards are probably the biggest modern lizards. They often become prey for birds such as eagles. The hunt follows roughly the same pattern. The predator dives at the lizard, claws at it, and usually that's enough to cause serious damage. Done. Take it away. But not in this case. This unique scene was captured on video. An eagle that is riding a monitor lizard. No, really. What is that? Thank you, Mr. Lizard. I was afraid to cross the road. And you know, the eagle itself seems just as surprised by what's going on. Okay, actually, it didn't end up like a Disney cartoon at all. The lizard, having crossed to the other side of the road, was just exhausted and could no longer resist the bird. So along with riding the lizard, the eagle also got lunch. Lucky guy. Now, if a lizard could defend itself like a skunk, don't let the cuteness of this animal mislead you. A spotted skunk is still a skunk, which means, yes, it has that wonderful function built into its body.
A skunk can spray, hit you in the eyes aim for the
At the sight of an enemy, skunks secrete an acrid substance with a very unpleasant odor, which is hard to get rid of. And they not only secrete it, they squirt it out over quite a long distance.
4 meters.
But spotted skunks decided this wasn't enough. They've gone even further and not only attack their enemies with a stinky liquid, they also warn them in advance in a very unusual way. The animal raises its tail, rises on its front paws, and in this form walks in front of the enemy. And for the liquid to hit the enemy precisely, the spotted skunk takes a certain pose. It bends its torso and, turning in the right direction with its back, raises its tail. Yes, exactly for what you're thinking about. It may not seem like a stable pose for firing at an enemy, but the animals are fine with it. Spotted skunks store about 15 grams of smelly liquid, which is enough for 5 shots. After their stock of the sticky substance runs out, it takes about a week for it to fill up again. You'll never catch us saying chimpanzees are harmless. It's no coincidence that they're considered to be the closest relative of humans. According to the latest data, their genome differs from the human genome by 6.4%. That is, the coincidence of the human genome and the chimpanzee genome is 93.6%. I'd say that we are kind of distant cousins from an evolutionary point of view, and chimpanzees, just like humans, don't just hunt, they tend to exterminate entire species. Although these primates mostly eat fruit, they also regularly eat meat. Their main prey are the little red colobuses, and with them, chimpanzees know no pity. In fact, by killing their primate relatives, they exterminated up to half of their population in the late 1990s. However, as soon as there were less red colobuses, the chimpanzees switched to other species and started exterminating them just as persistently. But that's not the scary part. Sometimes chimpanzees attack other chimpanzees and from their own group, but such incidents also end up in being eaten. Straight from cannibal chimpanzees to Satan's turkeys. I'm not kidding. What else would you call birds that all of a sudden start following each other around in circles for no apparent reason?
Turkey merry-go-round. Non-stop.
No logical explanation. They just walk around without stopping. Okay, any animal behavior has to make some kind of sense, even if we're talking about turkeys. Well, scientists have honestly tried to find it. Things got a little complicated by the fact that turkeys are very simple and not very intelligent birds. Some domestic birds have a tendency to flock if someone dangerous is around, and for the flock to turn into a devil's dance, it's enough for one turkey to simply go ahead. The second will follow it, the third will follow the second, and the first will follow the third. The result is a vicious circle without meaning or purpose, except for views on YouTube. While turkeys summon demons, goats climb trees, and they all feel perfectly normal. Yep, you heard it right. Goats and trees. Of course, if you put the first domestic goat you see up to the trunk, it's unlikely to act like Tarzan. But the behavior of goats in Morocco is radically different. There are not enough pastures in this country. The starving animals are forced to pasture where there's any kind of vegetation. In other words, on the trees. Of course, we aren't talking about a special kind of goat that can climb on branches. For example, a goat brought to Morocco from somewhere in Great Britain would very soon adapt to getting food in the same way. This is because goats are born with an excellent ability to keep their balance in the most unstable places. Have you seen the ones that jump over steep cliffs? A tree is not the limit. By the way, the favorite tree of these Moroccan goats is argania, and from its seeds, people get argan oil, which is very valuable in cosmetology. It occupies a significant niche in Morocco's exports, and the goats, well, provide help in any way they can. Yeah, exactly what you'd think. They both eat the leaves and the fruit of the tree, but they spit out the most valuable thing, the seeds. All people have to do is collect them. But where goats wouldn't climb trees is in New Zealand. And it's not because there are enough meadows there, it's just that in this particular country, it's better not to attract attention, because there is a parakeet that can kill a whole sheep. Sheep? Goats? I don't think these rugged birds would have cared who they got. They obviously aren't picky at all and act like brutal predators. The parrots sit on the ground next to their potential prey, then suddenly jump up on its back and start pecking out bits of subcutaneous fat. Yeah, right off a live sheep. Sometimes the key doesn't immediately manage to get a hold of the sheep's skin. The victim, resisting, tries to throw the bloodthirsty bird off itself. Very, very seldom it succeeds. More often than not, the animals attacked by the bird die from their wounds and become food for the rest of the parrots in the flock. Can you imagine? I imagined it. And then I thought, how could parrots ever get such a life? They're cute, colorful birds, not winged maniacs. Well, it's all as usual people's fault, to an extent. New Zealand used to have virtually no mammals except one species of rat and one species of bat. So the key weren't familiar with the taste of mammal meat. But because of the lack of worms and insects, the parrots began to prey on sheep, which became really plentiful around here. I don't know, however, how the Kia decided one day instead of worms to eat a sheep. They're in slightly different weight categories, but the fact remains. And when there are no sheep nearby, parrots try to get food from humans. Luckily for us, so far, the Kia are only breaking things down. So far. Okay, let's talk about something more pleasant, like dolphins. They're beautiful. They're funny. They're also smart enough to recognize themselves in the mirror, communicate in something like their own language, and understand the concept of playing ball. And not just copy people's behavior, but act on their own using the fugu fish as a ball. See, everything is completely conscious. It's not a strange way to dine, but a game with passing the ball to each other. The ball, of course, isn't thrilled with what's going on, but at least it gets to stay alive. By the way, according to another version, dolphins don't just play. Fugu fish are notoriously poisonous, but with such light contact, the doses of toxins the dolphins get are very small, and it seems to give them a kind of pleasure. Do you think predatory parrots, cannibal monkeys, and infernal turkeys are the limit of strange behavior? How about flying snakes? Yep, these creatures don't just crawl, swim, and appear in nightmares to people with phobias, they also fly perfectly well. However, I have 3 pieces of good news. 1, they fly short distances. 2, only snakes of one genus can fly. And 3, they live mostly in South and Southeast Asia, including the Malay archipelago. So you probably won't ever meet one. Flying snakes are moderately venomous, grow to a maximum length of 1.5 meters, and are able to glide from one tree to another. Before flying, such a snake crawls to the end of a branch and hangs down from it. Having chosen the direction, it pushes off with part of its tail left on the branch and flies free, continuing to wriggle as if crawling through the air. As it flies, the snake's usually round body becomes remarkably flat. To win in terms of aerodynamics, the snake spreads its ribs and retracts its abdomen, creating a concave surface underneath. It's kind of like a bamboo cut along the stem, only alive. In this way, the snakes can fly up to 10 meters, but usually it lasts for only 6. Flying snakes were created by nature itself, as well as the fish, which strand on the shore. And I'm not talking about marine mammals like whales, but about the most common capelin, which is not trying to die this way. On the contrary, its task is the procreation. Every year in midsummer, thousands of little fish find themselves off the coast of Canada when they go to spawn. And it's just a phenomenal sight. For people, of course, because gulls and humpback whales see a buffet full of fish. Not a natural wonder in front of them. I mean, there's only capelin, but these animals aren't picky. We'll see you soon.